Hello, loves. How are you? I hope that you can hear this audio. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. Okay. So today we're going to have a fun conversation. I'm gonna shut this door a little bit because, well, I can't. Yeah, I've been sitting in my office chair most of the day, and so we needed a little change of scenery. Now that's gonna bug me. Maybe I should put my office chair over there. Anyways, okay, we're back. So today I wanted to talk to you about expectations. Can we have them? And if so, what do we do with them? Well, I learned this lesson several years ago, the value of expectations. Not even the value, but like kind of the responsibility of expectations. So this was a few years ago that I remember having this conversation with myself, and I was doing some of the deep healing work. I was looking at all the relationships I had and trying to figure out why some were really great and some were not so great, and why I was resentful of some people and really didn't care about, what other people did. And I realized that it was my expectations. I had specific expectations for people, and I kept getting disappointed, and I kept being annoyed that they weren't meeting these expectations, right? So, prime example, okay? You can have expectations of your partner, you can have expectations of your kids, but the relationship that I remember changing the most was my relationship with my in-laws. I had these wild expectations of them. I mean, just crazy. And they would never fulfill those expectations. And I would always get annoyed that they weren't meeting these expectations. And then one day when I actually sat down and looked at it, I realized that I actually didn't have the gall to tell them what these expectations were. I mean, they were just so out there. So out there. But I didn't have the gall to actually say, here are my expectations. And when I realized I didn't have the gall to say those kinds of things, I was in a very different place than I am now. I had to drop those expectations. If I didn't have the gall to tell them exactly what I expected from them in our relationship, then I was no longer allowed to have those expectations. And oh my gosh, what a weight lifted off of my shoulders when I stopped having those expectations. Because I said, here's the deal. If I'm not going to actually say it out loud to them, then I am not keeping these anymore. I've got to get rid of them. They're not going to work. They're not going to serve me. They're not serving anybody. So I dropped them. And the whole relationship changed. It was more fun. It was more enjoyable. It was more at ease. I wasn't annoyed nearly ever. I'm an introvert. And so when anybody who visits me for an extended period of time, I get out of my element because I feel like I have to entertain. I have come to terms with this, but still just because I'm an introvert, I love to have time to myself. And I don't always feel like that when I do have people in my house. That doesn't mean you can't come visit me. Just know that there's going to be a few minutes where I go sit by myself to recharge. This is just me, okay? So when it comes to these expectations, you can absolutely have expectations, comma, you need to tell the person the expectations that you have, or you're going to continuously be disappointed in them. It's going to wear away at the thread of your relationship if you don't actually speak these expectations aloud. Okay, so prime example, when I ask my kids to clean their room, I give them very explicit expectations. I expect you to clean the room to mom's standards. They know what that means because I've told them, this is mom's standards, this is what I expect. I've even gone so far, because we have one of those Roombas, one of those iRobot vacuum things, and we've named her Charlie, iRobot, her name is Charlie, and I will tell my kids, is it clean enough for Charlie to come through? And they're like, oh no. I'm like, okay, then go back up and fix it, right? They know that expectation. Now, sometimes we can get annoyed and feel justified in not telling somebody our expectation because we would just naturally do it for them. So why should we have to explicitly say it to somebody else, right? I get this more often than not more often than not. I get this often with my husband where I will be running around like a crazy person, trying to do a bajillion different things, coordinate the house, all the things. And I expect my husband to just be there and help and pick up. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he just makes his own plans, does whatever he wants, and it irritates the crap out of me. But if I didn't tell him what I expected, then do I have a right to be mad at him? No. No, because I didn't actually express it to him. So I don't have the ability. I mean, I have the ability. I can absolutely be pissed. I can be mad. I can be angry. But it's not serving anybody if I'm not actually expressing those expectations, okay? Another one that's very, very common, all right? So you are driving down the road. Total stranger cuts you off. Do you exercise road rage? Sometimes I yell because I feel like it's common courtesy, right? But am I going to go up to that person's window, knock on their window, and tell them, a complete stranger, that I expect them to have better road courtesy? No, I'm not. And so I let that one go pretty quickly. Again, depending on my mood, I am human, just letting you know. But when it comes to these expectations, if you find that you are feeling disappointed in relationships, you're disappointed with yourself or you're disappointed with somebody else, look at what it is you actually expect of that person. I have really high expectations for myself, but I also need to give myself a lot of grace because there are things that don't happen because I have such high expectations, and beating myself up is not going to help me get there faster, right? So and this works with any kind of a goal that you have, anything that you move towards, anything that you're working to achieve, any kind of relationship that you're in. You need to be honest about what you're expecting. If you're expecting somebody to be able to read your mind, then you better find out if they can read your mind. Otherwise, you're going to be disappointed that they don't know what you're thinking because they can't read your mind, right? It's a big one between men and women. We just think they should know. I'm sorry. Do you always know what your husband is thinking? No. Do you always know what your kids are thinking? No. Do you want to know always what they're thinking? No. I sure don't. And so I cannot have that expectation that they're just going to read my mind and know. Now, sometimes your children are more aware of the mood and the tone in which you say things. And they can perceive that something else is going on, but they don't know for sure. This is why I don't know why they're calling me right now. Anyways, we're back. Okay. So when it comes to these things, this is also, okay, I have seen this lack of expectations, this lack of communicating expectations. I have seen it just tear shreds to families. Just tear shreds to families, okay? When somebody comes in to live with you, right, for an extended period of time, maybe they are building a house, maybe they got a divorce, maybe whatever. If you have somebody, we've had roommates before. Hello?
Hey, Mom.
Yes?
I forgot a couple things.
Okay, I'm in the middle of something, honey. Can you text me?
No.
Okay, what? What did you forget?
So, could you bring my brown pillow?
Okay.
And then the white pillow that's like the white pillow that's supposed to go with brown pillow. Can you bring it once you just put it inside the other brown pillow?
Yes.
Like Michigan language on my chair. And then my towel. Should be it.
Your what?
I need a towel, apparently. I didn't know you needed a towel.
Okay. Okay. All right.
All right. Bye.
We interrupt this live to bring you my unprepared son. What are you gonna do? Nothing. Nothing. Do I expect my kids to not call me during the day? Yeah, but sometimes they do. There's nothing I can do about that. Anyways, so when it comes to these expectations, you really have to be an adult about it. And that's not just like sucking all of the fun out of a relationship, okay? Adulting can be fun, right? But when you have conversations with people and you get your expectations out there, you have a better chance at preserving the relationship. And that is way more important, okay? So, for instance, one of my sisters recently went through a divorce and she was living with my mom for a little while. Okay. Both my older brother and I told my mother and my sister that prior to her moving in, they needed to sit down and have a conversation about what each person expected of the other. What do you expect to be done around the house? What kind of money? What kind of time frame are we looking at? What kind of help? What kind of communication? Be very clear about these expectations going in. Okay? Because I saw it just smash my husband's family when expectations were not communicated, and I didn't want that to happen to my family. And I remember hearing, oh, that's not going to happen to us. We're fine. Oh no, we're so fine. It's only going to be temporary. It is so okay. It's not okay anymore. My sister barely speaks to my mother now, and I'm not even sure what went on, but I can imagine it was death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of a thing, right? There were no expectations spoken on either side prior to this living arrangement happening. And I don't have to do that. I don't have to live that experience to learn that lesson from there, okay? There are times where I catch myself being annoyed at my husband and I go, oh shoot, this is an expectation that I didn't actually communicate with him. Do I want to communicate this expectation? Does it make sense to communicate this expectation, or should I just drop the fact that I have this expectation? Sometimes I do say, hey, I actually expect this kind of thing, but more often than not, I'm just being annoyed about something and taking it out on my husband, and he's just the easiest target, right? And I love my husband. I'm just telling you human nature. I'm being totally honest with you and upfront with you about this. So when it comes to these expectations, if you find yourself getting annoyed by a relationship, I want you to actually sit down and say, okay, what are my expectations of this person? What are my actual expectations of this person? Do I expect this person to call me regularly? That's okay. It is okay if that's what you expect, right? Write down all of the things that you expect. And then go back through that list and say, okay, do I feel like I can communicate these things to that person, or do I just need to let it go? Because I tell you what, I would love if I had girlfriends that called me like regularly, like all the time. But here's the thing, most, if not all of my girlfriends are also moms. And I know that motherhood is crazy. And so if I send you a text and you don't respond to me in a few days, I'm probably not going to take it personal. I'll probably send you another text and be like, hey, just checking in. I texted you the other day. Is everything all right? To which I hope I get a response. If I don't hear from you and I've reached out to you, I'm probably going to do some investigating to find out if you're still alive. That is just who I am. If I haven't heard from you, you haven't posted on social media in a little while, I'm going to investigate and find out if you're okay because I care about you. Do I expect somebody else to do the same? No, not really. Because I'm usually pretty good about that. But if you send me a couple text messages and I don't respond, feel free to investigate. There's probably something going on. or I was just totally consumed in motherhood and didn't have a chance. But nevertheless, I don't hang on to those expectations if I'm not willing to communicate them. And oh my gosh, the relief and the lightness that I feel from that is crazy, because here's the thing. We have these expectations of people in order to fuel our need for control. If we don't feel safe being ourselves, we will try to enforce control on all these other areas of our lives just to help us feel safe. But when you are able to root yourself in your own personal power, and this is what I work on with my clients in the Soul Activation 21-day program, this is about connecting into your personal power. When you are connected to your personal power and you feel safe, you stop trying to force control onto everything else and you just relax. You're not so attached to those outcomes. You get to just breathe, and it's a beautiful thing. So, having said all of that, if you are struggling, if there's a relationship that you have that you're not feeling so great about, look at those expectations. That may be part of it. You may expect something from this relationship that you're not willing to communicate. So you just gotta drop it. I know sometimes that's easier said than done, but if you have any questions, you need any support, please reach out to me. I would love to help you with this. I know that this was definitely a game changer for me when I let go of those expectations and I just let things be as they are. It can be hard, especially for a recovering control freak. I know. I was one. Okay, I still have my moments, right? But I'm sending you so much love. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. And as always, be big, be bold, and be opulent. Bye, love.